We're ready. I'd like to call the meeting of the Beal Early Childhood Center Building Committee to order. Good evening, my name's John LeBeau, I'm the chairman of the committee. Our first item of business is to approve meeting minutes. We have before us the meeting minutes from November 23rd, 2021. Are there any corrections, edits, comments? And if not, would someone kindly make a motion to approve?
So moved.
We have a motion, we have a second. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, so voted. Item 3 is project financial documentation review. We have a series of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We have 12 warrants to approve. I think we, unless anyone has any questions about any of them, we could take a motion to approve all of the warrants before us.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
I don't want to rush anyone. Are there any questions? We normally don't have questions about these items. We have a motion and a second. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So voted. Item 4, here reports, review and act on assorted matters, and the first would be the report from the owner's project manager. Walter, good evening.
Good evening. Good to see you guys again. So I'll start with PMA's project financial update. Looks a little bit different than the last time, just because we have a little bit of information to give you guys. So if you go to the Excel sheet, that's the 11 by 17 that was part of the handout that's with you guys, you'll remember back when we initially started the project, we started the PFA, which was the voted upon project budget, total project budget of $92.8 million. At PFA bid amendment, that did reduce down to the 92 million, just a little over 92 million. What we're happy to, or we have at current point spent $79.2 million. And if you flip over to the graph, you will see an actualized cash flow that Deb worked through for the PMA team. And you can see that $79.2 million up at the top. So where that line bar or line graph starts to turn blue, that's where we're at right now. And then you'll see at the end of that blue bar the forecasted for the remainder of the project. So this is all known exposure at the current time, and that would take the project to a total project expenditure of $80.355 million. So that means we roughly have about $1.1 million to expend until we're complete. And what that leaves the district with is a project unspent money of about $11.6 million. So we are in great shape. That bid market really did well for the project. And Fontaine, just being that type of CM, really the bid savings that we realized within their contract was great. Most of that is within the construction line. What that does mean is that the maximum grant will be less than what the MSBA reimburses, because to get to the maximum grant, you have to spend that money. So it'll be the 36%. The Shrewsbury's rate of the eligible cost of that 11.6 wouldn't be coming back to the Shrewsbury, town of Shrewsbury, because it would be unspent money. So we are working through that calculation. It is a little bit more difficult because we have to do a little bit of backtracking on the other end to find where they're going to put the ineligible, where they're going to put the eligible, if they're going to determine it. So we are working through that number as well. And it does get negotiated with the MSBA 2 or 3 times before project closeout. So before I move on from project financials and go into design or construction updates, I'll ask if there are any questions.
Anything for members of the committee? Well, I couldn't think of better news to hear. So we're all grateful to a lot of people for getting us to this point. Seeing no other comments or questions, why don't we move on?
So moving on to update from LPA and really the design team in general. As you know, the capital assessment project that was taken under this project, LPA is working through that. currently about 15% complete. I know it's really been getting going recently, but I know that they're about 15% complete with that amendment. Other tasks that LPA is working on with their subconsultant, the Green Engineer, they are preparing the documentation for our lead submission, requirement of MSBA to receive the additional 2 points as part of the reimbursement rate for the town of Shrewsbury. We are looking to submit the initial package to lead online in about 1 to 2 weeks. We did here today, we have all the documentation we need to make that submission. From there is about a 4 to 6 week review time for the lead group. That comes back with comments. We have, I think, 2 to 4 weeks. We'll try to turn that around with LPA, the Green Engineer, Fontaine. Then there's another submission to them. If there happen to be further comments, they'll work with the group. So it is, a 2 to 3 month process there to get that completed for LPA. At that point in time, I'm kind of going to jump ahead a little bit, that would be when PMA would be able to begin the closeout procedure with the MSBA. Until we have that final certificate from LEED, and we can provide that to the MSBA, we can't begin the closeout procedure with the MSBA. In the background, PMA has begun that closeout documentation, collaboration, putting it together as much as we can until we have all of the documentation we need to submit to the MSBA. With the MSBA coming up for closeout, we do need to target a board. We're going to look at that once we get the comments back from LEED, the initial comments, and we'll try to target a board date. From there, we need to backtrack to a submission date to meet that board date. I know they have one in October, and then they have one in December. Those would probably be the 2 earliest we could hit, depending on the LEED comments and where we fall on those submission dates. So we are eagerly looking to get closed out as quick as we can, but I think right now we're really going to depend on that LEED review and that LEED submission. So that's really everything I have for LPA's update through the project designer, and I can move right into construction. We are at the very, very last legs. I think we have some minor paperwork on and documentation on some punch list items with Fontaine. I want to say there are 16 items, and I think all 16 just need to be moved into a different court on the program we're using to track all of those items. So once Fontaine makes that change, LPA will be able to close those items out. We have one meeting scheduled right now for a few IT items. I believe there are 7 items on the IT end that we are working through with Brian LaRue and his team over at the school. A lot of that's going to be taken care of by Friday and on Friday evening as well. And then the last piece that Fontaine's working on is finalizing their hard copy submissions and electronic submissions of as-built O&Ms and warranties. So we'll be having the electronic files and the hard file copies brought back so that there's a good record of the project. And then once those are complete, we will be able to begin the process with Fontaine. They'll be able to bill all of the money that they'll have left, and then we'll be able to get the necessary paperwork from both Fontaine and LPA for the MSBA closeout. So it's really kind of a little bit of a revolving door, kind of chasing around, but we're working on the last few stragglers before we can make that MSBA closeout. So happy to take any questions. And
any questions for the committee on either the architect report or the construction manager report? That's a good thing, too.
yeah, oh, it's great, great,
Thank you very much, Walter.
absolutely.
We'll move on to new business, item 5A and B. 5A, reorganization of the committee. Committee members, my term on the Board of Selectmen will end next Tuesday with the annual election. I'm not seeking re-election, so I will no longer be able to serve as member and chair of this committee. So we have on the agenda a reorganization. I don't know if, and I should also mention that I've informed Chairman Samia, the manager and the town clerk, that I gave them notice. I'm resigning from this committee at 6:59 tonight. So on the board's agenda tonight, they will select, or it's on the agenda to select a new designee to this committee. I know in past practice, myself and Selectman Kane served as chair, but there's no responsibility to do that. And the second item would be to continue to have someone designated to be able to approve warrants without having a meeting called. That needn't be the chair. That could be both of these things could be temporary appointments if the committee decided to make a change at some date in the future when it's back to being fully constituted. But I think it's in the best interest of the committee, and I know school committee member Fritz serves as vice chair, to have a chair, and I think more importantly, though we all like seeing each other, to have this designee who can, because Kim Fitzpatrick, and you just got to watch for Kim Fitzpatrick's emails, because if you don't answer them, she gets on your case in a very respectful way. But I have been slightly delinquent at times, and Town Hall makes sure that gets corrected. So, is there any, I guess I'll open it up for nominations. Are there any nominations for a future chair of this committee?
I'd like to nominate Sandy Fritz to be the chair of the building committee.
Is there a second?
Second.
Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, motion to close nominations. Would someone,
So moved.
and is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, so voted. Okay, now, I believe the vote is to appoint Sandra Fritz, Chair of the Beal Early Childhood Center Building Committee, effective 7 p.m. this evening. Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, so voted. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Are there any nominations for a vice chair of the committee?
I'd like to nominate Erin Boucher for vice chair.
Is there a second?
Second.
Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, motion to close nominations, please.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, so voted. So we'll move on the question. Would someone kindly make a motion to appoint Erin Boucher as vice chair of the Beal Early Childhood Center Building Committee, effective 7 p.m. this evening?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, so voted. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And next item, item 5B, review and act to designate a member or members to approve all bills, drafts, orders, and payrolls pursuant to MGL Chapter 41, Section 56. I wouldn't say historically or traditionally, but I served in that role for the past few months, and as long as you check your email, you're good to go.
Mr. Chair, I think just as we do this time, we'd be wise, rather than to use names, if we could just use titles. So I'd make a motion to have the committee chair, the superintendent of schools, and the town manager to approve the warrants in between meetings.
Thank you, and that, forgive me, committee members, that is exactly the model that we had. I had neglected, I had forgotten actually, that the manager and the superintendent are also authorized. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So voted. Does anyone else have anything to bring before the committee this evening? Hearing none, motion to adjourn is in order.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So voted. Thank you very much.